Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Finish Fans. This time, doing a throwback review from a release from 2016, which is The Memory Bank and Other Stories, a Fifth Doctor anthology release. I think it was your idea, Luke, to do this one.
Yeah, I think we were just both in the mood for a bit more Fifth Doctor, weren't we, really? We had Peter Davison's birthday recently and the announcement of some details for the second 40 box set. And we realised it'd been a while since we'd heard anything from him.
Yeah,
So
this year.
I suggested this release just because it's a quick one we can throw on. We got 4 different stories to talk about technically. So it gives us a bit more discussion room, but at the same time, it doesn't take up as much of our time, which we need a bit of time at the moment because Big Finish have been releasing a lot of things. And we've got a few things to re-listen to for an upcoming stream. So this was just a nice little thing we could slot in the middle and have a chat with you guys about, and then followed up by some exciting news. So Big Finish, not exciting news from us. We're not revealing anything. We're just going to be discussing Big Finish news that has already been announced today, which you're no doubt all aware of already. So look forward to that.
And if you're going to Big Finish Day, we'll be given our little breakdown on the schedule. We're not going, sadly, even though I think there are 2 tickets left, which I was pretty tempted.
Might be gone now.
Might be gone now. But hopefully the next Big Finish Day, we might possibly both be there. Who knows?
We'll see. I suppose, do they usually announce the next one at the end of the current one sometimes?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that'll be something to look out for.
Yeah, but once again, I'm joined with Luke, the 50% of the channel. So yeah, there he is.
Hello, everyone.
Still here.
I keep superseding my introduction, don't I? It's almost like there isn't one necessary at this point.
It's just like, you know who you are. You know, the name's there. It's all fine. It's all fine. It's all Gucci.
Has there ever been a Big Finish fans without me? I don't know. Like going
probably
back.
when we first started, yeah.
I think must have been 1 or 2.
But I think since we revived it last year, I think it's pretty much a given you're here, to be honest.
Yeah, it's basically just our little stream, isn't it, really? Big Finish fans.
Like, even when you're on holiday, we're like, right, how can we be able to do a stream in between when you're away? So we try and keep it consistent as well as we can.
Yeah. I'm grateful you're never looking to replace me while I'm unavailable.
I might quit. Who else can I find?
Yeah,
but no, it's all good. It's all good. We've got that camaraderie, so I'll take it.
Yeah. Hello, Stylish One, and hello, Trevor Hicks.
Hello. How are we all? So while we wait for people to join, what have we been doing since we last spoke? When was it? Tuesday, Monday? Monday. Yeah.
It's been a long week. It's like that weird time of year still, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I've been pretty good actually. Been going back to series 3 of Doctor Who, like we were discussing just before. So far, I've gotten up to the Lazarus experiment, so I've been having a fun time with that. I'm sorry to say, Stylish One, I still stand by Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks being better than Evil of the Daleks.
Hot take right there.
Yeah, how about you, Ben? What have you been up to? I think you've had a bit of series 3 as well, haven't you?
It's weird, isn't it, really, that we had intentionally started series 3 without communicating. I think I probably put the idea in your head a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you mentioned Smith and Jones.
Yeah.
I was just in the mood to go back to that one and sort of carried on from there because I was just in the mood for more Tennant, really, and series 3 is the one I've revisited least, I would say. So
it's that sort of, I wouldn't say underrated, but it is a forgotten series of Russell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think unfairly so, because it does do a lot with how arc-based it is, how things build, like the Lazarus machine being used to, like, the technology from that aging the Doctor in the finale, the fob watch from Human Nature, Family of Blood coming back in the finale. There's a lot of setups like that are just these little things dropped in stories before that don't feel like they're part of an arc. The stories still are standalone. They still have that rewatched value. But then when you get to the finale, there's all these hidden connections you weren't even aware of that just make it feel so much more full and whole.
Mm. And like, you know, compare it to like Legend of the Sea Devils, you feel like you've got a complete package with that, really. I know it's a whole series, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And not to throw shade
Each
at Legend of the
episode
Sea
in it
Devils.
feels like a complete package.
Oh yeah, yeah. Not sort of a weird mishmash edit, but you know, that's Legend of the Sea Devils for you. But yeah, I mean, like you, I rewatched Smith and Jones. What a fun time that is. You know, it very much is the same blueprint as Rose, with it following Martha, but not as much really compared to Rose.
Yeah, so it doesn't quite hold your hand as much as Rose in the sense that it's not a jumping on point for the series. It expects everyone watching to already have a pretty good idea of what the show is, because this is 2007. The show is a juggernaut at this point, or getting close to it. So, you know, people are expected to have watched series 1 and 2 going into this.
I still think it has the fundamentals of like an intro, because it's a new companion, so you learn about Vitalis being bigger on the inside, and the Doctor's an alien. It's got that.
Oh, it doesn't. Doesn't throw you right in the deep end.
Yeah, I think that if you wanted to start with Doctor Who, then Smith and Jones is still a good jumping on point, I'd say. But yeah,
you still have quite a few references to things like Canary Wharf and such, aliens being a known entity in this world now that Russell built up over the previous 2 series. And so things like, I mean, there's even the connection to Freema Agyeman's character from the series 2 finale.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's nothing that throws you off out of it. You can easily watch that and still understand the plot as a whole. And yeah, it's a very strong debut for Martha.
I was just thinking it's a really clever little story, like the plasma 4 and, you know, using the Doctor's blood. Like, it's just, there's just something about it what's so simple, and it's just like, oh, that's so clever. I really rate it.
She's very active in the plot as well, Martha. She is quite often coming up with these thoughts, and she is the one who reveals the plasma 4 in the end. Like, it's the Doctor's plan, but she didn't know that. She was the one who tweaked on to what he was doing and then alerted the Judoon because they're thick.
Oh yeah. Would you say it's the best Judoon story?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's only that and Fugitive, really, isn't it, on TV?
Yeah. I mean, Change of a Judoon, you've got that. That's good, but that's audio.
I mean, have they got any other audios? Oh, there's the 1 Mile Down.
Oh yeah. Doctor.
And Donna one. I suppose maybe you could count Stolen Earth, but that's more of a...
That's pushing it a bit, I think.
Yeah. They're featured, but they're not the main.
But then G-Class Magician's Apprentice is a June story, because they're there.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear they're also in End of Time or something as well at the bar.
Oh, yeah, they're in the bar.
Yeah. Oh, they've got Sarah Jane Adventures as well, who have Prisoner of Judoon, so...
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Judoon stories here and there.
Maybe do a Judoon tier list.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There's options there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
This is how our mind works, isn't it? We think, oh, what can we do a stream on?
Yeah, literally, it's like a little business going, what can we do on, you know? It's great. But yeah, that's pretty much been me, really, this week.
Trevor Hicks said, I struggle for finale, Last of the Time Lords, with the Dobby Doctor immediately followed by Floating Jesus Doctor. yeah, Last of the Time Lords is a bit of an odd one, I think. Certainly the weakest of those, that final 3-parter, by a long way.
I mean, I think Russell does struggle with endings, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Parting of the Ways, what a good story that is.
Yeah, so Doomsday's not too bad as an ending either.
No, it's not too shabby.
Yeah, I think mainly it is more... Last of the Time Lords probably his worst ending. And then Stolen Earth sort of gets by on the vibes of it.
Yeah.
And just the joy of all these characters being together, but it is a bit of a mess at the same time. And then End of Time, I don't think it's too bad.
I've really come to love End
Mm.
of Time.
I prefer End of Time to Stolen Earth and Journey's End, to be honest.
I feel
as
I get what you mean, because they're both sort of a closure of the Russell era, aren't they? Really?
Yeah. I think Stolen Earth as an individual episode is by far the best of the four. But when you're talking about the two stories as a whole, I'd say End of Time trumps Stolen Earth and Journey's End together.
Mm.
But yeah, I wonder if Russell was at one point considering leaving on Journey's End then.
I don't know. I mean, I've got the writer's. Is it the writer's tale? I've never properly delved into it, so maybe there'll be answers there.
Do you think, could it be that the specials were the way to get him to stay on a bit longer, and that, maybe he didn't want to do a series 5, but then was signed on for the specials because it's a bit less of a workload?
I feel like I've softened on the specials, to be honest. I don't think they're that bad.
I still need to go back to Planet of the Dead at some point.
I kept meaning to do it last weekend, and I feel like I've missed my shot now. With
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're only missing the Easter egg at the start. I think that's about it in terms of Easter.
Yeah, but it just ruins the vibe going down.
Yeah. Well, next year.
Next year, I'll wait a year for it. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
It's on the shelf. It's all good.
Smith and Jones is the actor who played Todd Holbert in Human Resources. Yes, he's on the cover of Human Resources, isn't he?
Yeah. That's one I should revisit, because I remember not being too keen on Human Resources. Have you seen the original? Go on.
That's all forgotten in terms of Lucy Miller stuff, isn't it? When it comes to the early stuff, people are more focused on Blood of the Daleks and then sort of forget about the Cyberman finale.
Yeah, I think it was by Eddie Robson as well, who I'm sure we'll talk about one of his scripts later on.
We will.
Yeah, that was should be interesting to go back to that one, actually. Have you seen the original End of Time script ending with 10 sacrificing himself to save a family? Yes, I have. I think came out today on Twitter.
Yeah, I can't remember who tweeted out about it.
I think it was, I saw it off Batman March, and he was like, "Oh, imagine if it was 13 saying it," or something like that.
Oh yeah, because there's been a fair bit of discourse about the whole sacrifice at the end of Legend of the Sea Devils, and so it's a recurring thing in the Chibnall era, because we also had it in Timeless Children with Koshamas. But yeah, I think you can certainly see how elements of that were very much taken over to
Wilf. Yeah. I think it has more of a gut punch being Wilf, to be honest.
Oh, definitely.
No disrespect to the alien family, but yeah.
I think it's more just his original thoughts on how it would go. I don't think he was really preparing a script at that point. This is just sort of something as a blueprint to build towards, and he knew it would probably change by the time he got to it. But it still hits the same beats, doesn't it?
I think it just works well into the vanity of 10, you know? And I think that's what people don't really like about the 10th Doctor, because he's not alien. He's very much, a vanity Doctor. And I think that's where we're treading new ground with the character. So therefore, I think that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, I suppose you could say, with 9 meeting Rose, she ended up taking the good from him as well as some of the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when 10 was born, he was very much like a Doctor made for Rose in a way.
I think that's how they try to explain the sort of Cockney accent in the Christmas Invasion Target book.
Oh, really?
It's just a weird little thing, that's, I think that's why. Is it is it the girl who died or the woman I can't remember, the Ishilda one, where it's I've got Achilles' faces to hold me to the mark. What about the massacre in Pompeii,
Oh yeah.
It's stuff like that really, where it's like a previous face has shaped
It's
why
like a
that doctor's.
subconscious choice. I'd say.
Yeah, which I don't know how I feel about, to be honest.
No, it's a bit. I mean, I suppose you could look at it in the sense that, you know, we as people will pick up traits from those around us. We start to speak more like our friends if we join like a new friendship group or something. We will start to adopt those traits to fit in. So maybe Time Lords do that on a more full-on scale
physically.
during regeneration.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's the reasoning for Colin Baker? Oh, I was quite fond of the person who shot me in season 20's opening story.
There
I
we
don't
go.
know. I'm like, I'm sure there's like a reason in
Left
like a book or something about it, but yeah.
Yeah. I think usually when it comes to shared actors, I prefer just to ignore it. It's just a fun coincidence, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like Mark Gatiss playing both Professor Lazarus and the captain in Twice Upon a Time
Mhm.
doesn't have to be explained.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
true.
these things happen. I think there's like a theory that there are 7 people in the world right now who look more or less like you.
Yeah.
Like people do have doubles, really, as hard as it's believed, because like when you given the population of the Earth,
Yeah.
there is going to be some time when the variants of genes aren't as huge as you might expect. I mean, I used to live next door to someone who looked like Carl Pilkington and often got mistaken for him. I had to let people down gently that he wasn't
Oh.
actually Carl Pilkington.
I mean, what a claim to fame, though.
Yeah, there you go. I lived next to a Carl Pilkington look-alike.
Exactly. Put that on like a blue plaque. Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose I think with Doctor Who, sometimes people just like to connect the dots a bit too much.
People are very much into the box set mindset, aren't they? Where they want everything in one place and go, that's why it's like that.
Yeah.
They want answers to the mystery of it all.
Yeah. The mystery of life itself doesn't have to be solved.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes
that's somebody's mission out there in life.
Yeah.
To find it.
Yeah. Sometimes you need a little mystery to keep things exciting.
Oh yeah.
Well, I swear there's definitely a Doctor Who quote somewhere along those lines. I think it might be with the 10th Doctor and Martha, actually. I swear there's a thing where he says about... It's definitely the 10th Doctor who says, if I knew everything, that would be boring.
That rings a bell.
11? Yeah, I swear it's like when they arrive somewhere, she's like, do you know what's going to happen? He says, no, if I knew everything, what would be the point in travelling?
That does ring a bell.
Yeah, so it might be Shakespeare quote, but I'm not 100% sure.
That does ring a bell.
Yeah. So Swellen asks, which would you rather have, extended cut of Legend of the Sea Devils or extended cut of Twice Upon a Time? Got to be Twice Upon a Time to get us more Capaldi.
I mean, I love Capaldi, but I think Legend of the Sea Devils probably deserves it.
I think it would benefit from it more.
It would benefit it. Release for Talayli cut of Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it supposedly like an hour and a half long? What they?
Yeah, that was like a big room, wasn't it? But it was going to be like a 90-minute special. Yeah. I mean, I quite like Twice Upon a Time as it is, and I feel like that's a bit of a controversial thing.
Yeah, I don't
to
like
say.
that.
I don't mind it. Like, yeah. I mean, I'll take Twice Upon a Time over Legend of the Sea Devils.
Yeah. But yeah, like you say, I think Legend of Sea Devils would benefit from the extension much more. Especially because it feels like there's so much missing.
I mean, I guess speaking of things what are missing, should we talk about anthologies? Because they're sort of slices of a story.
Yeah, that's true. And they're also missing from the catalogue of Big Finish upcoming releases at the moment. So
yeah, I mean, I thought that was a bit of a stretch of a segue, but I try and made it work.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
They're shorter stories at least, and Legend of Sea Devils was certainly a story too short for its own good. Some anthology episodes arguably are too short for their own good. Some are perfect at that length.
Yeah, and I feel like Memory Bank has a few stories in there. I'm like, I'd quite like to have the full version of that, really.
Yeah.
Um, but before we dive into Memory Bank itself, what do we think of the anthology releases? Because they're not, like you say, in the Big Finish catalog for 2022. Do you think they have a place in the relaunch of Big Finish?
I think there's definitely room for something along those lines, especially now that we've expanded out to all the Doctors having their own range each. I would like to see anthologies for different Doctors, like the first, second, third, fourth, and eighth Doctor mainly. I mean, eight did have Company of Friends, didn't they? But I think that's about it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny because anthology itself just means a collection of stories. That's basically what every box set is. So,
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
a way, we get these anthologies anyway. But we're specifically talking about what the main range did with these a collection of one-part stories. I think there's usually like one a year, or
It,
sometimes
wa-
they skip a year and do something else that's special. But
I think, especially towards the latter end of the monthly range, it became very much an apparent thing.
hmm.
So I was looking through like the Big Finish monthly range sort of catalog, I guess you want to say, when sort of the anthology started to become a bit more of a prominent thing because they've had a weird life, the anthologies. I mean, I could be getting
Was
this
it
complete.
Circular Time they started with?
Yeah, Circular Time I think was the first one where it was like each episode was a different season.
Hmm.
And then sort of around at the same time, I think in like ID, Exatron, you'd have like a three parter, then you'd have an extra 1 hour, what, like half an hour story afterwards, like urgent call, stuff like that. Which I
Hmm.
think very much feels like a blueprint of what you get with Big Finish now, where you
Yeah,
have
they've
like,
certainly been experimenting with this for a while, haven't they? Like the double bills that we started getting at one point as well. That was just a trilogy on its own at one point. We had like three double bills: the Alien Heart, Dalek Soul, Vortex Ice and Cortex Fire,
yeah,
Shadow
yeah.
Planet World Apart. But then they started cropping up in other trilogies, like randomly on their own, like Black Thursday and Power Game, in as part of the Chameleon quadrilogy, I guess it is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What I find quite interesting looking at the anthology releases, they're mainly Fifth Doctor.
yeah, he has a lot. He leans more into these shorter stories, I guess.
Because you've got 45, that's one, then you've got recorded time. You Are the Doctor and Other Stories, Breaking Bubbles and Other Stories, but majority is Fifth Doctor, like Shadow of the Daleks. That's technically an anthology, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I'd say so. That's an anthology of eight in a way.
Yeah, it's a big old one. That really, I mean, that's one what shouldn't really exist, but it does. It's like a little bonus, really.
Yeah, it's like what we got because of the pandemic, isn't it? To fill
Mm.
in that gap. But yeah, I suppose because at some point, Big Finish started doing 13 monthly range releases a year.
Mhm.
And so I think that was the time with the fact that there were 13 issues of Doctor Who magazine a year, is how that worked out. And so it'd be like one to connect and be like reviewed or previewed or whatever in each issue. And so from there, when a trilogy format came along, 3x4 makes 12. And so you've got an extra odd release there. And that sort of usually was the slot an anthology release would fill.
Mm. I'm going to be honest. The anthology releases don't really do much for me.
I feel like there's something exciting and special, but I think they can be very hit and miss, like especially on an individual story basis. I think
Yeah,
they're sort of like they help themselves in that sense, though, that because they're so short, when there is a miss, you don't tend to think about it as much.
yeah.
Like
'Cause
you
it's not
sort of
like you
move on
spend
pretty quick.
like an extra hour and a half listening to it. You've only got that half an hour slice, so like, oh, it's not too bad.
Hmm. And then usually, like when you get one special thing, even if it's just one good story in an anthology set, that almost makes it worth it. Because I think when you get something special in that condensed format, it's like this shot of Doctor Who, isn't it? At just
Yeah,
30 minutes or sometimes even less than that. Like one of the stories we're going to be talking about here is 21 minutes. But I think when you get Doctor Who that right in that short amount of time, that's when it feels special. and you sort of easily forget all the times that it hasn't quite worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like maybe the anthologies sort of have a fonder memory than they deserve, but in a way that it manages to trick itself into earning.
Because, like, for me, I always sort of dreaded the anthology releases.
Oh, really?
Unless it was something interesting, like Time in Office was like, oh, that's a really interesting concept. Let's see how that goes. But for the most part, the anthologies are sort of the releases, what happened, they're there. Let's move on to the next trilogy, that sort of thing, really.
Yeah, it's like it's a filler equivalent, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't say any of the anthology releases were like in my top 10 Big Finish by any means. Maybe Time in Office might scrape it, but that's it, really. What I think is a standout, like from episode 1 to 4, I feel like that's probably the most solid anthology for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned Time in Office because there's some that are less anthology than others in a sense. Because that one, it's certainly each episode has its own beginning, middle, and end, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
it fits it in that sense. But it is all by Eddie Robson, and it is all also one long story at the same time.
But then you've got releases like Ghost Walk, what feel like they should be an anthology because each episode's like in a different location with the character.
Yeah, that's true.
But then you've got a Sixth Doctor one from 2019, which I don't really want to spoil how it all links because it's marketed as I feel like I'm spoiling it now.
You've already given it away now.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Sixth Doctor. Yeah, I think.
But it's been out for a couple of years now. No, that was marketed as an anthology. It's not, you know.
That one's quite a funny one because it's all by Nev Fountain.
Yeah.
But he's used like pseudonyms on 3 of the other stories. And I think no one quite picked up on it at first. We were like, oh, these new writers. But it's actually quite obvious they're pseudonyms. Someone's Susan Denham. Pseudonym. I think it's Andrew Leas, so alias, and then Alan Cherigo, which is alter ego. So Nev's been very clever here, and I don't think anyone twigged it beforehand.
That's good.
But I think just that little fact alone is almost more entertaining than the release itself. I'm sad to say.
I quite enjoy it, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's too bad.
I struggled a bit.
I think the Designer Baby's the worst one for me.
That one might have been the one I enjoyed most.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Blood on Santa's Claw I struggle with. But that's like 40 minutes long. And that felt like it dragged.
I mean, it's no Dancing Plague from Time Apart.
I think it's unfortunate it repeats a twist that was used in another Sixth Doctor story. Not that long before, I think. Not the same year as the year before it. The what's Lore of the Nomad, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You know the twist I'm on about there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, for it to happen to the Sixth Doctor twice in the space of 2 years felt a bit odd to me.
I mean, I guess speaking of a Sixth Doctor style release, Memory Bank itself reminded me quite similar of Memories of a Tyrant in a way.
I suppose there are some similar beats there. I think there's another story that reminds me of Memories of a Tyrant as well, but I can't think of it. There's been one more recently where it's along the similar lines of punishing people.
Was it another Sixth Doctor release or?
No, I don't think it was Sixth Doctor. I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me. Maybe it won't.
Yeah, it'll just click. It'll click.
Yeah,
it'll click.
Yeah, certainly in the sense that we've got a story playing with memories. That's true. But yeah, the idea for Memory Bank itself, the first in this anthology box set, is the first one by Chris Chapman as well. The first thing he's wrote for Big Finish. I think the first thing he's wrote like fictional commercially, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So Fifth Doctor and Tegan Turlough. Fifth
Wrong
Doctor and
companion there, pal.
Turlough. Yeah, they're both T's.
Yeah,
Easily confused.
yeah.
Arrive in like this cathedral underground, don't they?
Yeah.
Where there's all these TV screens dotted around the place, and a man's walking around with a book, remembering other people from across the planet. Because on this planet, when you are forgotten, you cease to exist. But when you cease to exist, a gap is left in the world, and something takes that place. And so the Fifth Doctor and Turlough have just the 30 minutes of this story to find out what's going on here and put a stop to it. And I think, what do you think of the Fifth Doctor and Turlough as a duo?
I think they're quite underrated, to be honest. Like, they're used quite sparingly, and I think that's what makes it quite exciting when you do get a release with them. And I think they're definitely an interesting dynamic because, especially in the last story, which I guess we're jumping the gun way much, there's a bit of a dilemma between those two characters there, which doesn't. It feels earned between those two characters, really. But I think they are a good pairing. I think they're a good pairing, and I think it allows Mark Strickson to shine a bit more because I don't think on TV he ever was fully realised, to be honest.
No, I think they struggled to know quite what to do with him, didn't they, as a character?
Yeah.
Like, there's almost different versions of Turlough. He's meant to be this young schoolboy in a sense, but at the same time, he's got this whole backstory about being from a different world and such. And then he's got the Black Guardian manipulating him to kill the Doctor. It's almost like too much going on in one character. And it's certainly got the potential to work, which Big Finish has proven. But I think Classic Who doesn't quite have the depth to stretch to realizing such a character fully.
Well, it's like an Enlightenment when you've got Turlough basically wanting to commit suicide, and you've got TV Doctor going, "Don't be an idiot." Like literally, that stops Turlough from basically ending his life. You're like, okay, so I feel like Big Finish have gone, okay, so these are two characters fairly on the same sort of intellectual spectrum as each other, really. And I think they get that sort of relationship. They're on the same page, but I guess, Turlough's a bit more of a cowardly lion compared to the Fifth Doctor. I think that's where they complement each other because they're very similar in the sense that they don't like to get stuck in straight away. They kind of let things happen. But Turlough rather runs away, whereas the Fifth Doctor's like, I've kind of got to fix it.
Yeah. Like, I think there's quite a few funny lines throughout the set where Turlough's like, oh, you've made another friend. Oh, he's always doing stuff like this. But it's in a well-meant way, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's like, and it's always like he looks up to the Doctor in that sense. I think a lot of companions think they can be like the Doctor and so try to be. Turlough almost wants to be like the Doctor, but he knows he doesn't quite have what he takes. He's willing to admit that fault in a sense.
He's more of a refined Adric, I feel.
Yeah, I think especially in this set. And I think it's always nice how they contrast each other, where at the start of quite a few of these stories, Turlough just wants to stop, take things in, set up his easel, and paint. Or if, in one of the stories, he brings a sketch pad with him because he knows that he's not going to get much chance to do anything with the Fifth Doctor around. So what's the point in bringing the easel with him? And whereas the Fifth Doctor is one who much more likes to go off and explore straight away.
Well, it's like the last story, isn't it? Where it's like, oh, well, we've never been here, so let's explore. Which I think is quite nice.
Yeah. And Turlough, despite his protests, always inevitably gets dragged along in one way or the other. I think has the whole Turlough painting thing ever come up anywhere else? Because it's taken from Five Doctors, I believe.
I think there might be a reference to like the odd story where they want to go paint. He wants to go painting, but I think that this is the first one where I properly remember it. Really?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly, my main memories of Turlough from when I was young was him setting up the easel on what's the Eye of Orion? Is it an easel? No, it's just a sketch pad there, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, just sketchbook.
At least draw it. Yeah, I think because I went into that without having seen any other Fifth Doctor stories with Turlough in, I didn't quite click that he was a companion at first. I thought he was just someone who had been sat there admiring the scenery, and the Doctor just walked up to him like, "Oh, what are you drawing there?"
I mean, yeah, I can
Because
see it. I can see it.
yeah. I'm pretty sure in Five Doctors, you don't begin with him in the TARDIS. He's
No,
already
no.
outside sketching while Teague and the Doctor are together.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think, especially when you come into it from the new series point of view of, oh, it's just one male Doctor, one female companion,
Mm.
you don't always click with things like that when you're younger.
No, no.
But yeah, I suppose Memory Bank itself, as an episode, what do you make of it? Positive or negative?
I really like the concept of it. I
Mm.
think there's something. I feel like this is a bit of a Tom Baker -ism in me. I think that there's always a part of you what wants to have a legacy, and you don't want to be forgotten. You want to have like an indelible mark in history in a way.
Yeah, it is very much this idea that while you're remembered, you still live on in a way, and this takes
Yeah,
that literally.
I think that's probably why there's probably some weird psychological reason why it appeals to me. But it's just that idea of, oh wow, since you've gone, you live on, and I think that's quite a powerful thing because nobody wants to be forgotten, do they? Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's the 11th Doctor who said we're all just stories in the end. So, and that's what a story is, just a memory in a way, a made up
Yeah, it
one or
is.
otherwise.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's rich, and you can see why Chris Chapman got pretty much picked up. And I sort of had similarities to like the middle in a way.
Oh, how's that?
I kind of maybe because like the way the like quite old elderly character at the start, I thought, oh, this is a bit like the middle in a way. Don't know. I just had that sort of inkling. It had the same sort of sound design as it. It just felt very in keeping of what early Chris Chapman scripts were like. I feel.
Mm.
I can't really explain it, but I just had the middle feeling, and that's a really good story.
Yeah. I suppose it probably has similar vibes because they are. That was the second one he wrote, wasn't it? Middle.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it probably runs along similar style. But yeah, but the idea for this one itself came to Chris Chapman not long after his dad had passed. Or I think might have been like a year or so after. And he had a moment where he struggled to remember what he sounded like.
Mm.
And just for a second, you do forget things like that. Like when you're trying to imagine a loved one's voice or something, it doesn't always come to you straight away. And I think maybe that panic increases that because your mind's mean to you like that. Sometimes it can.
Yeah.
Psychology is a funny thing. But yeah, it was that idea. And that's even mentioned in the story as well. I think a character does mention forgetting their dad's voice, I believe. And so that is quite moving when you know that comes from Chris himself and his own experiences. And you can see how that does play into it. But yeah, I feel like as it's perfect for the anthology format though, because it is a very good idea, but there's only so much you can do with it before you dilute that idea and you're doing something else. I
Mhm.
mean, even towards the end of this, when you have the monster introduced, it feels a bit wrong.
Yeah, you have the Hux, which
Yeah.
I think are sort of I guess a Big Finish own monster creation.
Mm.
Because I feel like is it Huxley from like the Jagon Lightfoot and Find and Replace? I think he's a Hux as
Oh,
well.
what is it?
I think I had a look on TARDIS Wiki when I was listening to it, going trying to put two and two together to make five. I think they are pretty much the same.
Was that like? Do you think Chris had other ideas for a monster in this? And then Big Finish said, "We basically got one that fits this bill. Do you want to stick that in there?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure."
Maybe. But I guess it just makes it more richer in the Big Finish tapestry, really, doesn't it? By saying
Mm.
here's a. Because remember they did like a monster sale a few years ago of just like original Big Finish creations. I was like, that's really cool. So people can get the full tapestry of those creatures and aliens.
Hmm. It's just a shame it's not the most interesting of monsters.
Yeah, I mean, like they weren't. I think that's the thing. You get something that's so rich, like the actual idea of the memories. Something's got to give because of it only being half an hour. Like I feel like I'm the opposite for you. I feel like this one would have benefited being a full adventure, maybe just like an hour long
Yeah, maybe a two-part.
story. but I couldn't see it getting a 4-part. I feel like there's enough there for me to go, I'd like to see this expanded on a little bit more.
But I think it doesn't feel like rushed at all at the ending, though. It just feel more like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over now. Is more the sense I got about 20 minutes in. Like, I've got the idea, I've got what this is going for. Now the plot's kicking in, I'm ready for it to wrap up.
I got that with the second one, really. It was just like, oh yeah, it's gone now.
All right. So should we talk about the second one? Or should we give a quick rating to the memory bank before?
Yeah, we can do that.
I'd say an 8 out of 10.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that rating.
So I suppose now The Last Fairy Tale by Paul Marks. And I think a lot of these have a fairy tale vibe to them, really, don't they? There is something a bit more whimsical about this style of Doctor Who.
They do sort of link loosely with like memories in a way, isn't it? Because you've got sort of the fairy tale sort of thing of like, how long can a memory of a story last?
Yeah, that's true.
And then you've got repeat offender with like the sort of the crime scene of it all, really.
Yeah, memory being used as testimony, or memory not being trusted, and so like literal eye cameras of sorts are used as testimony, isn't it? Like
and then
recording
you have,
on your retina.
And then you have like the Waywalk. Is it the Waywalker from the fourth story? I think
it's like a race memory, isn't it?
Yeah, race memory when they get to like the chosen place to find out what job they'll have. So there's a loose thread of memory, but it's not like a big overarching thing. I think it's when you listen to it, you kind of get the jigsaw of, okay, it's got a loose theme of memory.
Yeah, that hadn't hit me before, but yeah, now that you mention it, there is definitely that going throughout it.
But yeah, second story. What do we make of it?
So yeah, set in, well, the synopsis says in the heart of old Europe. I don't think they name an actual country, do they? It's more
just say medieval Europe, isn't it, or something like that? That's backstage.
Yeah, it's just medieval times, little village. A traveller comes along, talking different tales. The villager expecting him to come and surprise them with all these different wonderful stories. But instead, the Doctor and Turlough turn up. And of course, the Doctor, being a Doctor, is mistaken for said traveller, the storyteller, and they get into a bit of trouble with a case of mistaken identity.
I'll be honest, this one confused me a little bit.
How so?
Because you've got the whole thing about, is it like trolls and like bloodhounds and that sort of thing. So I was thinking it was on like this whimsical fairy tale sort of planet. It wasn't until sort of halfway through when they mentioned, oh, it's like medieval Europe. I was like, what? Okay, so these are just I just felt a little bit confused by that.
Yeah, I think it is mentioned at the start, I believe. I don't know.
I probably missed it.
Or maybe just because I might have read the synopsis before and so known where it was.
Oh, I didn't. I just went straight in. I was just carried on.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can't quite remember, but yeah, I think knowing that helped me, certainly, because you do see that these characters aren't actually a witch, a hell demon, and a dwarf. Or like that.
Yeah.
He's got dwarfism, but he's not a dwarf in the mythological sense. And so it's very much about how these stories can demonize people who haven't done anything wrong. And it's also like, don't judge a book by its cover as well, as part of the message. But yeah, I think it's an interesting story about prejudices and how they form, and stereotypes as well, and how different tellings of those tales do compound them, really. And an example of why representation matters, really, and positive representation, of course, is what this story is really going for in the end. It's a story about stories, which is always a meta and fun thing to have. I quite enjoy how Turlough is in the pub. He's at the bar. He's like, I wish I was at a wine bar instead or something. And that just sums up Turlough.
Yeah.
He is not a pub person. He is a wine. He loves the bit of the bistro. Yeah.
He's a man of class.
Turlough. It's a product of the 80s, isn't it, as well? He's almost like a yippie.
I mean, he does look a bit like a yuppie in a way, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's always going around in school uniform and such. So yeah, I think it's wonderful how it gets Turlo right in that sense, just in a single line.
I think the Fifth Doctor's got a bit of a love interest in a way. Well, that might be me reading a bit too much into it. I don't know.
Unreciprocated on his part.
Yeah, not like Serpent in the Silver Mask, where that's used for comedy.
I suppose she's more interested in him because he's the storyteller, though.
Yeah,
or
that's true.
she believes he is.
Instead of this silly, stinky old man. Which I really like the idea behind that storyteller, that they're sort of another dimensional beings. And when, because Turlo's quite a cynical character, that's the reason why those sort of people died out, because people didn't believe. And a part of me sort of felt like going, oh, were they from like the dimension where the Doctor was Merlin and, Morgana and all that sort of stuff? It just made me go, that fits sort of the Arthurian sort of dimension sort of thing. That made me just going, oh, that'd be quite cool if it was.
Yeah, that could be true.
But that might be me looking too deep into it.
I think it sort of has a similar vibe to the Wish Granter in Ravenous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from both Ravenous 2 and 4. Although that has a very different explanation for it in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly the story itself, I think it's a neat little story, I would say.
It's got all the hallmarks of Paul Mars, like the wacky, zany humour. Like, it's very much there for the comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it begins with the Fifth Doctor and Turlo sort of falling down a hill, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite a random start as well. Just the Fifth Doctor comes up to us, like, why don't we go for a brisk jog? Just like dragging Turlo along with him.
It's like the end of Castrovalva when they're all sort of running back to the TARDIS, isn't it?
That's what. Yeah, I suppose it does fit the Fifth Doctor in that sense.
Yeah. It's all right, isn't it, this one?
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of really too much to say about it. I just stick it on and enjoy it, really.
Yeah, that's the thing with the anthologies. You can't deep dive into them because they're very surface level stories. Not in like a nasty way, because the runtime doesn't allow them to be these big complex things.
I think they've got enough going for them, but yeah, it's more just you need to sit there and appreciate it in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this one, I'd say probably another 8 out of 10. Actually, do you think you'd enjoy it more on re-listen now that you know it's meant to be set in medieval Europe?
Probably, because I was expecting like it was this sort of mythical fairy tale like kingdom planet. So yeah, I feel like I missed the whole sort of big "don't judge a book by its cover" sort of moral message at the end.
I will say the one thing that sort of threw me off along similar lines is the idea that this is meant to be more of like a little farming village. Really, is the vibe I got from it. It's nothing too ostentatious, but it's got a princess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that felt a bit odd. Maybe she's like self-appointed, though.
I mean, yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's something that was a thing in Europe at that time. Like even villages had princesses, so yeah, it could be accurate to the time period. And
I just thought it'd be like Paladin, that sort of vibing when they're sort of going to like the lower.
It's like quasi-medieval, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas this is just full-on medieval.
So I think for me it's like 7.5. It's still good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's understandable. Now, Repeat Offender, the shortest one of the set by Eddie Robson. This is where this story kicks off like right in it, really.
I think this is the most interesting one.
Yeah, the Fifth Doctor's come to Reykjavik in the 22nd century, which is in Iceland. Big capital of Iceland, I think, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, from memory.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's the city of the future in a lot of ways now. Like other places are getting too hot or too cold, global warming and such is happening. But just because of where it's situated, I think with the a lot of geothermal energy and stuff, it is able to be this haven that a lot of people want to come to, and so they've had to shut their borders because of that, which gets the Doctor and Turlo in some trouble. But basically, they have tracked a creature called the Britannian Shroud to a woman's apartment there, and end up getting accused of murder.
Basically, standard stuff for Doctor Who.
Yeah, and then you've got like the trial all taking place in the room itself. It's like a neat little plot thread, isn't it?
And you sort of got great little twist midpoint with like 3 different TARDISes as well, and that's all quite cool.
It keeps you guessing, doesn't it? It throws the plot twists at you quite quickly, but you don't feel like you're being overwhelmed with information. You feel like you could keep up with it.
I think because of the short runtime, it feels like it needs longer, but it's perfect at the same time.
Yeah, like it is very precise.
It's tight. It's a tight script.
Yeah, it gives you everything you need without any fluff. Like I say, it does start right off with it. Like I think the first thing that happens is the woman enters her apartment to see the Doctor standing over the unconscious body of her wife. Like the Doctor and Turlo together, and then from there, things just keep getting revealed. And the enemy in this is quite a high concept, interesting one, but also quite easily explainable as well. It's like this sentient cloud that jumps into people's minds, really. And yeah, and then there's tension drawn from that there, where you don't know whose mind it could be in.
Yeah, because you've even got like Turlo sort of acting out a character really within it. So you sort of feel like, are they trying to do something a little bit different with Mark Strickson, or has he been taken over? Yeah.
It's quite a Turlo light one as well, though, isn't it? Like he shoots off pretty quickly at the start, and it's more just the Doctor on his own to deal with this trial going on. But then that also allows Turlo to come in every once in a while with new bits of information.
Like he's utilised really well, because like he becomes more of like a big suspect within it, really.
Yeah. How would you say your opinion of this one is? Positive or negative?
I'd say positive. I think it's a strong one. I think because it's 20 minutes, it's one what you can easily rattle through pretty quickly. Well, it's an anthology release, so you can get through it quickly regardless. But it's the quickest of the box, well, of the set really. And I enjoyed it, but for me, I think it might be the weakest of the bunch. For me,
really? For me, it might be the strongest, but I feel like I've got a more personal connection to it because the year before this came out, I did go on a school trip to Iceland for a few days. I did actually go to Reykjavik itself. So for me, I got a kick out of this one when it came out, just from the fact of having been there and such. So it like stirred some nice memories for me. But at the same time, like I say, very tight script, very interesting concepts, lots of different things going on very quickly, but it never feels overwhelming or too quick. So I still think it holds up as my favourite of the set, and I would go 9 out of 10.
See, I'd go 7.
We're still fairly positive though. Like,
yeah, still fairly positive.
7 and a 9s. So
yeah, still fairly solid rating.
Yeah. I think given what we said earlier about how sometimes there can be hit and miss ones, and you sort of like forget the misses and remember the hits. This one I'd say is all fairly hits in one degree or another. Like not all hard hitters, but still no duds for this one. And I think, well, we've sort of spoiled that the last one won't change that, but
yeah.
Or if you said it was your favourite before anyway, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's my favourite because I just really like the environment, the world building within it. I just thought it was really rich, and I kind of wish I had more of it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the Becoming by Ian Potter, who usually writes for the first and second Doctor, really, doesn't he? Like, mainly did Companion Chronicles and then some early adventures as well.
Like, there's just something about this story. What I thought it lends itself to be an anthology because it's got that sort of nice sort of quest feel to it.
Hmm.
But you're only getting little small, sort of the latter end of the chunk of the quest, really.
Yeah, because
Um,
the character Waywalker has already been on this quest, and then the Fifth Doctor and Turlo sort of jump in right before she's about to cross the finishing line, really.
and I think it's a good little characterization for Fifth Doctor and Turner, because you get a nice little reference back to Frontios about sort of
Yeah,
the actual. So I feel like it's a great
a race
way of,
memory.
connecting into the whole sort of Fifth Doctor timeline. I think it's a nice little one to slot in, really.
Hmm.
For me, this story just feels sort of very Game of Thronesy in a way, and I like the idea of just being on this whole new sort of solar system and exploring it. There's, I just enjoyed it. To be honest.
It feels similar to the first story of the second First Doctor Adventures set. What's the Invention of Death? How that's
Mm.
exploring a very different culture and species and sort of the way they've evolved.
Because you've got like this sort of translucent, Daywalker's translucent, isn't she?
Yeah. And then there's this hive mind of sorts that connects them and gives them their place in society, but they are still individuals at the same time.
But you've got these sort of ape-like creatures, haven't you?
Yeah, the Hungerers, which sort of feel like they fit in a similar space to the what's the creatures from the first story, the Memory Bank, the
Yeah,
ones that take the place of those who uh, leave a gap in the world. And I mean that they're sort of doing the same here. They're taking the place of those who leave a gap in society.
because you've got that whole sort of, where do they fit in the food chain? What do they
Mm,
bring to this ecological environment, really?
yeah,
So it is an interesting one.
yeah. And I think it has quite a strong ending as well, strong point to end on, where nobody wins really.
It is bleak, isn't
And
it? Maybe that's why I
yeah,
like it.
yeah, that's true. And I think it's nice. It suits Turlo very well because he has to stand up to the Doctor here and sort of say, "You're in a position where you can't win. The
Yeah,
best thing you can do is to leave."
because
And
he's
like
like, are
that.
you going to take over? Are you going to be the decider for this race? Are you going to like give them the jobs of a society? You're not going to do that. Just get in the TARDIS. So I like that confrontation between those two characters, because like I said, Turlo's very much a character who's quite timid, runs for his life, coward really.
Mm,
And the Blazing Hour really placed that strength. But I think it was great to have that moment of him having that courage to go, look, you can't change this society, just
yeah.
leave it.
Yeah, that's very true. And it feels like it's been building across the box set, really, because, like we say, it is something he's brought up a few times, especially Memory Bank, whereas you have to get involved, don't you?
Mhm.
And so here he's sort of like run into this situation where he can't quite get involved. Like just by being involved, he might have done some damage, but it does leave with a little element of hope there.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd say it's a solid one. I'd say it's another 8 out of 10 from me.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree.
Mm. So, pretty solid overall. I'd probably
Yeah.
say 8 out of 10 for the whole box set. Well,
Yeah. We'll go on.
it's kind of a box set, isn't it? It's a
Well,
collection
yeah,
of
it's a
stories.
collection of stories. Yeah.
It's not got a slipcase, so it's not a box in that sense. But then again, neither do some like the Companion Chronicles sets or the volume 1 to 8 of the Third Doctor Adventures.
I think because we're so used to saying box set, it's kind of just become ingrained of natural when you're talking about a big first release, you say box set.
Yeah, that's true. It's a
Um,
question of what is a box set? Like, it's the description, because I would originally said it's when you have the select, like, separate CD cases sliding into an actual box.
yeah,
But now it's usually just an individual case in a slipcover.
it's really changed the meaning now, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
we're getting existential about box sets.
Wow. I
But
mean,
here we go.
edgy Ben back in his day would be crying because he hates box sets, but now he's just gone, hey, he accepts it. That's a
Yeah. They
proof
look
of how
better
you
on the shelf.
change.
They're
Oh,
nice,
yeah.
nice spines.
Yeah, because I mean, this is going off topic. I had Doctor of War arrive, which is very
Oh,
nice.
let's see the spine.
Is that going to show?
Oh, that's yeah, I
So,
can see.
yeah,
Yeah, very
very
good.
nice. So, yeah. I mean, I'm quite surprised it's arrived this early.
Hmm. Does it
Um,
say Unbound anywhere on the physical copy?
I can have a little look actually. Give me a second. I'll just get off screen share actually, and I shall have a look to see if it says Unbound.
Because even though it's like in the Unbound range classification on the website, it's not got like Unbound written on the cover or anything.
No, it's not got Unbound on the spine.
No.
It's just Doctor Who Genesis. There we go.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where it gets stuck in the actual set. So
Oh no.
gotta shake it out. Don't take that out of context.
No. That's what happened to me last time. What was it? I think it's the 5th Doctor one that got.
You don't want to rip the box set. So I
Yeah.
noticed in Vortex somebody complained about it.
Yeah, and I think Nick said get a knife in there or something. Which
It was
sounds
like a
bit-
letter opener or something. It was something like that. God, I don't know if I can get it.
I think luckily once it comes out once, it usually gets a bit easier. But
See, it's the thing. I've had it out twice. There we go. Got it now.
okay.
Here we go. I mean, it's nice having the actual cover in hand.
I want to write
just-
fairly quickly then. No first
Yeah.
Doctor yet.
No First Doctor, no Stranded.
No.
4. So that's what makes me go. It makes you think: do they get the high sellers already in production in the warehouses, ready to go?
Yeah, maybe. But then you'd have thought, given all the promotion they gave the first Doctor, though, you'd have thought they'd think that'd be a high seller as well.
Yeah, but I guess people are way more wary about the recast, aren't they? They're always a bit.
Yeah, I suppose that maybe needs a bit more of a push, where Doctor of War sort of sells on its premise alone.
But yeah, there isn't it?
Very nice.
Yeah, no Unbound. Oh no, it is on the spine. Sorry.
Don't
know if it's going to say the glare.
Oh yeah, I can see. Yeah, it's Unbound on the top there.
Can I
Doctor of War Genesis at the bottom?
Can I make no, I don't know. I'm gonna blow something up if I do something on here. But yeah, it says Unbound on the spine.
Very good. That's our little discovery. You didn't even have to get it out to see.
No, but hey, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I do wonder whether the Outlaws will say number 1 or number 6 on the spine.
That's a dilemma people are having now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I'm probably
expecting Annihilator to have a 9 on it.
I mean, I'll probably end up putting it after the David Bradley stuff, just because that just fits.
Yeah, and it's also way after in the timeline as well. So, yeah, and then at least with Second Doctor Beyond War Games, we know that that's going to be a number 1. There's no question there.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I suppose. Speaking of that, shall we dive into the news now?
Yes, let's dive into some Big Finish news. We've been bombarded with a fair bit of news, really.
Yeah, mainly like trailers and stuff, isn't it? Some releases as well. Been a big Torchwood week.
Yeah. I'll just load the old news page up.
Yeah. Well, Pain Cyberman says that's weird how they gave Mind of the Hodiak the Lost Stories text, yet Doctor of War doesn't have Unbound in it. Yeah. It was weird how the Lost Stories one sort of popped up later on as well. They like updated the website version to include that. Because the original cover they put out did just say Mind of the Hodiak.
I mean, it is pushing the Lost Stories banner, isn't it, really?
Yeah. It is more like fan fiction that just happens to be by an actual writer of the show later on. So, but it's got to fit somewhere, so it might as well go there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like, in a way, Return of the Cybermen probably more fits in the Unbound range than it does in the Lost Stories range.
It does. I mean, could you say that's part of the Unbound timeline for the Doctor of War sort of stuff? You know,
maybe. Well, I mean, you've listened to more of that one than me, so you might know.
Well, true. Yeah, that's true.
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, should we start off with Second Doctor since we mentioned?
Yeah, that's the big old news, and kind of shocking, really. This news actually, because I didn't expect to get news of it today, and I kind of put 2 and 2 together, going, well, it's Big Finish Day tomorrow, and Michael Troughton was going to be there, but he's got COVID, so speedy recovery, Michael. And I guess it was something for them to talk about, going, look, this is what we're planning on doing.
Yeah, they can still get into it more after it's announced.
And it makes you feel like, are we going to get some news tomorrow? Because it is Big Finish Day, like I said. So are we going to see something exciting revealed?
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Wasn't like the name Stranded revealed at a Big Finish Day?
Yeah, because I'm going back to when I went to the Big Finish Days long time ago, like 2015. So this is like 7 years ago. They revealed the Benny and Sutek box set. All Consuming Fire was teased there. Yeah, so it's not unprecedented to give little tidbits of information and sort of surprises. So I think we will get some little bits of news, whether that be for the 2023 stuff, because we were looking on, I think Monday, wasn't it? We were going, when was that sort of stuff revealed to us? And it's nearly a year on, so I feel like
it
we're...
was sometime early May, I think we found, where we had the big announcement of all the 2022 ones, and that's when they put that bundle up for order. So
I feel like we might get the odd bundle coming up soon. So yeah, RIP my bank account.
yeah.
But yeah, Second Doctor Beyond War Games. What do we think of it? You're the Second Doctor fan, so you bought the CD bundle now.
I'm already in on this one.
Do you feel sort of enlightened and glad you've got the bundle now? Are you excited for it?
I feel like this news article, this announcement, gave me some answers and then just gave me even more questions to ask. It feels like it's, but in a good way. It's intriguing. I'm excited to work out what they're doing to find out some of these details and teasers. Yeah. So we have The Final Beginning, written by Mark Wright and Nicholas Briggs, a 4-parter. And then we have Wrath of the Ice Warriors by Andrew Smith, another 4-parter. Which,
how's it going to work on the CD?
Yeah, with 3 discs. I wonder if after they were able to do 7 parts on The Annihilators, they sort of realised they had the wiggle room to extend these a bit.
It makes you think how short are the parts going to be for it, really.
Yeah, I guess between 20 and 25 minutes. Either that or they've made a mistake somewhere and it's actually one of them's meant to be a 2-part and they just messed up. Or we're going to have a 4th disc stuck in here. Because with the 4th Doctor Adventures, how that's going to be a 5-disc set for the price of 4 discs, anything's possible here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But yeah, certainly, I think you can just about fit 8 parts on 3 discs, though. You're just going to be skimping out on the extras a little bit.
Well, I feel like this has got so much rich to talk about in terms of extras, like why season 6B. I think there's a lot to unpack with that, really.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, why did they decide on doing that rather than just going for some more Second Doctor stories and such?
Because
And,
when go on.
Oh, there you go.
I was going to say, like, when this first dropped the news about the relaunch in 2022, this was the one where everyone's going, wow, we're doing season 6B. Like, I feel like there's so much you can talk about within it, really. I think that the stories themselves, just like you say, you get answers, but you have way more questions about what they're doing with it, really.
Yeah. I mean, going back, Colony of Fear sort of started to tease it. I wonder, that might have been the one that reminded me of Memories of a Tyrant, actually. Going back to when I mentioned that. Yeah, that could be it. But yeah, like...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We had the tease of it back then, that there was going to be more going on with the Second Doctor. And so now, a year and a half on, we're getting into that, finding out what it all means. And obviously we had another more recent, more proper tease, almost backdoor pilot with The Annihilators. And we both really loved that set.
Yeah.
And so I think going from that, there's already an excitement here because we know what Michael Troughton's like as the Doctor. I'm sure he'll improve even more because this is the next one that he recorded. So he's had the chance to get into role a bit. So he'll be able to get into it even more now. But also, we've gotten a chance to get used to him. And so we're not thrown into this as the start of a new journey for the Second Doctor completely as fish out of water ourselves, we know sort of what to expect from Michael. But the Doctor seems to be a bit of a fish out of water here because no TARDIS and no allies, no companions, which is going to be interesting to see the second Doctor on his own.
Bit of Dalek universe in a way.
Yeah, and it gives me vibes of the Lost.
Yeah,
From
I can
Dalek
see
universe,
that. Especially the first story, I can see that.
Yeah, definitely the first story is where it got Lost vibes because
especially like that mysterious Who's Raven, that's a challenge again.
Yeah, and these other characters on the planet, one of whom played by Tim Treloar, Silas. There,
a part of me tried to link it back to Frontier and Space because I swear there's a mention of Silas in that.
Is there?
I don't know when he's on
when he's talking to Joe.
Or when he's on like the lunar colony. I swear he says Silas or something like that. Or I could be complete. I know there's a Silas in Happiness Patrol.
Yeah,
but I could be me getting cross wires. But a part of me just try and put two and two together. Really.
Yeah, certainly nothing's jumping out at me there. But yeah, like, my initial thought was it's just going to be a random other character played by Tim. Like we had him in Black Thursday playing a Welsh miner. But then you sort of mentioned that it could be something to do with his face, how he got that face. Like, is this just going to be Tim Treloar playing a different character, or is this sort of meant to be the third Doctor's face, like we were talking about earlier? Even
yeah, it's full circle.
12th Doctor,
yeah,
taking Caecilius's face. Maybe there's something more going on there. Or
I mean, it seems like a Big Finish idea. So
yeah,
yeah,
I suppose it'd be interesting though if it's Tim himself on the cover in his face.
Yeah,
let's see what that gives us.
We'll have to wait and see. I was quite shocked because I read the synopsis first, and then I looked at the news article and it said about Daleks. I was like, "What? The Daleks are in this one then?"
Yeah, it's like hard to tell which story they're in because they're certainly down on the cast list with Nick Briggs. So like the final line of the second story, Raft the Ice Warriors, mentions battle lines are being drawn and the Doctor races against time to prevent Earth being caught in the crossfire. So is it caught in the crossfire between Unit and the Ice Warriors, or caught in the crossfire between Daleks and Ice Warriors? But then I was thinking the final beginning is very much like the opposite of the final end.
Yeah,
the iconic second Doctor line from Evil of the Daleks.
And I feel like with Briggs doing it, the Dalek aficionado that he is, he'd want to do that.
Yeah. I think it makes sense, like, to kick off a new era of the second Doctor with a Dalek story, because Power of Daleks is how his first era kicked off. And so I think that adds up. Also, the story itself doesn't seem to have much to sustain it for 4 parts based on just what we have there. So throwing some Daleks into that could make things a bit more interesting. But yeah, then Wrath of the Ice Warriors, we've got some more familiar faces here. Maybe it's about making Michael Troughton feel welcome, like giving him these faces he had from the Annihilators. But we've got John Coleshaw back as the Brigadier, alongside Katie Manning as an Ice Warrior Queen.
I could just picture she'd love that, because Katie's so versatile as a radio performer. I can see her really getting into that.
Yeah, as soon as I read that in the news article, I thought she is perfect casting as an Ice Warrior Queen. She does fit. She does have a similar voice actually to the one that we get in TV.
Oh, is it Adele Lynch or Leach?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I can see that working very well. And also in the cast list, Mark Elstob is listed as Scar, which with 2 A's, so that seems like a very Ice Warrior name there.
It sort of feels like Red Dawn, where Nick Briggs didn't voice the Ice Warriors, I don't think, in that. So it's a nice little change, I guess, to go, oh, wow, we've got some different people voicing these monsters.
Yeah, I'm glad Nick Briggs is a voice in the Ice Warrior Queen.
I mean, that'd be interesting. I haven't had that one by Briggsy. But yeah, Scotland again, after old friends.
The Brigadier's back up there. No idea. I'm assuming with the cover we'll get more of a picture of it, but like, there's no idea. idea whether this is going to be pre-Spearhead from Space or post.
A part of me would want to say it's old Brig.
I
Because
don't want to say it's too old, but maybe like 5 Doctors age Brig.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like just retired.
Yeah, so yeah, around 5 Doctors sort of time, really.
Because that sort of fits in with why he'd be meeting up with him, similar to 5 Doctors there, because presumably that's set during this gap.
And I guess it makes sense because you've got sort of that scene before they get taken to the death zone, like them just recounting stuff in the unit grounds. You know, like, are we gonna get the Brig and Terrible's Odin? Are we finally gonna get the Terrible's Odin?
Yeah,
Was that one of those
I feel like
scenes
that
that
almost
just
works
left?
better as an in joke, isn't it?
Yeah. But I feel like that's nothing's untouchable, really.
No, that's true. I think what is the point where Big Finish jumped that final shark when now nothing was untouchable for you?
Yeah.
Like what point? At what point do you think that was in Big Finish history?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know.
I think maybe recasting Sarah.
Maybe. I feel like
It's worked
Sarah
out
and the
very well.
Brig. Oh yeah, Sarah and Brig. I thought like they. I wouldn't think they would recast them because they're just so beloved characters. But we've been proven so wrong by Sadie Miller and John Coleshaw. It just feels wrong not having them. You know.
Yeah, especially given how big a part they are of Doctor Who mythos. It feels so weird that those great chunks of time and storytelling potential have been absent until now.
And now we're sort of making up for it because practically every release they're there. You know, Unbound. What a lovely little thing to have Sadie and Christopher Naylor in, and just to have John Coleshaw. You know, basically just having the Brig in every release now. You know, old friends, great. You know, nice little bonuses like that.
Yeah, he's been with quite a few Doctors this year. Like, yeah, 9th, 3rd, obviously, 2nd now.
Second.
Well, actually, he's already
No,
been
second,
second,
yeah.
I guess, but another one with 2nd, like purely 2nd, and 5th Doctor coming up. So,
And we've
he's
got a
getting
4th
around as the
Doctor
Brig.
one coming up whenever.
Yeah, hopefully sometime.
Arguably, that'll be the Sea Level one. Hopefully.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, certainly. It feels odd to have him with so many other Doctors and not with the 4th yet, because even though 3rd is his main TV Doctor, the 4th Doctor is quite like that the Brigadier is quite important to him in a way, in terms of because obviously unit itself is a fairly big part of the early 4th Doctor era. So, yeah, it feels odd not to have more of him yet compared to other Doctors. But yeah, I'm definitely welcoming more with the 2nd Doctor, and presumably this will be related to the line in Castrovalva where the 5th Doctor's sort of acting as other Doctors for a little bit at the start in his post-generation trauma. Talk about, hurry, Brigadier, we must reach something before the Ice Warriors do, or something along those lines. Yeah. So could this be that, do you think? Or is that a different story?
See, I thought that when we sort of got the vague announcement of 40, where we got you're gonna get Simon and Ice Warriors, I was like, oh, we're gonna get that little tease, but no. So maybe you're right. We're gonna get it in this. I'd like it. Again, it's one for the box set fans if it is.
Yeah.
Which I'm not against at all.
Which of the episodes excites you more? Final Beginning or Wrath of the Ice Warriors?
I would say, I don't know, because Andrew Smith has done some really good stuff recently. I say recently, it's been a while since we've actually seen him do something.
This feels like his summer blockbuster. Like, we've had him do Hour of the Cybermen, we've had him do Emissary of the Daleks, now we're getting an Ice Warrior one in sort of like that similar July-August slot. So I feel like this could be the latest in that line from him.
I see. I mean, yeah, because Return to Skaro was another good. I know that wasn't a summer blockbuster, but that felt very authentic. So it'd be interesting to see how he latches on to that, what sort of style he goes for. Because it's not season. Because I guess season 6B doesn't really have a distinct flavour of Doctor Who like we know. So it'd be interesting to see what he latches onto.
I wonder how authentic they'll be with the 2nd Doctor era as a whole with this, because it is forging new ground. It is sort of this new era in between the second and third Doctors. But at the same time, will it channel the Second Doctor era quite a bit? Will Wrath of the Ice Warriors be in a similar vein to something like The Invasion? Or is it going to have its own tone a bit more? I mean, certainly the Final Beginning doesn't feel like anything from the Second Doctor era. But I think it shouldn't at the same time. I want this to feel weird as a start to what's going on with the Second Doctor. I don't want it to be a simple, straightforward explanation of the Time Lords going, actually, we're going to send you for some missions instead.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm intrigued by this. I want to know what's going on here.
I think the
We've had
Final Beginning's the one what gets me the most excited. Because it's so vague.
Yeah. I think it has the potential to be like a brilliant 10 out of 10 weird wacky story, but it also has the potential to be shit. I feel like Wrath of the Ice Warriors is more going to be straightforward but a lot of fun.
You meat and potatoes Doctor Who.
Yeah, but done with style.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Final Beginning's more of the unknown quantity, I suppose. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's become one of those releases what I was intrigued by, and that's become one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It's quickly gone. I just want to hear it now. Give it me.
Yeah, especially with all these exciting guest characters and guest cast members. The Stylish One says, the Final Beginning. Oh, I absolutely love the sound of Beyond War Games. It sounds like a brilliantly unique set of stories that sounds nothing like Troughton's time on the show. The Final Beginning sounds brilliant. It might even tie into the Time War. Yeah, that's a possibility. Now all we need is a killer cover. Imagine a cover for Beyond War Games similar to Time Jack. Please don't give us an awkward painted floating Troughton sidebar and nothing else. Yeah, really do hope not. Especially since we know we're getting Daleks, Ice Warriors, and the Brigadier in there. It would feel wrong to just have Troughton in their floating style. Hopefully something by Sean Longmore, maybe. I think he's our go-to exciting one. Studgman also says, how can you fit 8 episodes onto 3 discs, though? Would it be like Brotherhood of the Daleks and 2 parts will be 15 minutes long? I think it probably will be closer to 20 to 25, similar to the Annihilators. Because certainly,
I think there was a 4th Doctor. I think was it Sands of Time, or yes, I think Sands of Time.
Yeah.
That's a 3-parter. Sands of Life.
Sands of Life. Yeah, it's Time or
I
Life.
I know there's a book. There's a book which I can't remember. Sands of Life. I can't. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it is Time. I think you were right the first.
That's a 3-parter. I know. I think that's like 75 minutes or something like that. So you could get away with it. But like you said, the Annihilators, that fits 3 25-minute episodes on. It just might be that awkward thing where you get episode 1 on like disc 2 or something like that. It might be a bit of a strange one, really, how they format it.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they quite work that out. But yeah, certainly seems like they're playing around with what they can do a bit more with the relaunch.
And that's the whole point of the relaunch, really. So it makes it that exciting thing going, okay, this is the format. Let's go for it, really.
I mean, with First Doctor, The Outlaws, the final episode of The Outlaws and the first episode of The Miniaturist are 40 minutes long. So I mean, if they're fitting 40-minute long episodes onto the disc, they can squeeze 3 episodes onto a disc, no problem.
You don't feel as shortchanged, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Or it could just be a 4-disc set and they either haven't unveiled that yet or neglected it. I don't know. Could be a surprise. But either way, I think it's fairly certain that we are getting 2 4-parters here. I don't think they've made the mistake there.
I mean, I hope that the Ice Warrior one is the 4-parter because I think Andrew Smith does his best work when it's a long, drawn story.
Yeah, I do feel like we get a bit shortchanged by him when it's a 2-parter.
But yeah.
Have Mark Wright and Nicholas Briggs ever written together before? It's an interesting combo.
He's done stuff with Alan Barnes, isn't he, Nick Briggs? But can have a little look. I think Mark Wright's probably the best person to go on because Nick Briggs will have every release.
Yeah, he'll be everything.
A part of me feels like the cover's going to be the same, like First Doctor, because he's both
worry.
producer, isn't he?
Yeah,
but I could be mistaken.
hopefully so. I mean, the artist of the First Doctor one has been doing quite a few covers recently. Some like they did the Sixth Doctor one. It's like Whitnail art. So I'm kind of hoping that means they've done their covers for a while now. We're going to get someone else's cover for this.
I want a photo cover for it.
Yeah. Something similar to the Annihilators will make me happy.
That's what I'd want. I think that's probably my favourite cover of the year so far.
Agreed.
Or, well, self-defense aside. I mean, speaking of self-defense, should we move on to that?
Yeah. Both covers by Sean Longmore as well. So that makes sense.
It's funny how we joked about getting story details for it, and here it is.
Yeah, we... I can't think of the phrase now. There's like a...
Oh, you're trying... Yeah, okay.
Speak of the devil, that sort of phrase.
There we go. Yeah.
That's not quite the one I'm going for, but it'll do.
I think the Wallmaster's a bit of a devil.
Yeah, he certainly is. But he's a lot of fun at the same time. I mean, you can't beat me, Jerry Jacobi. So yeah, we now know more about what's going on with this set.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not quite sure it's going to be anthology or like one long, slightly connected story. I think each episode is going to be its own thing, but I don't know whether there's a force tying them all together or not, or whether they will just be 4 separate stories. What do you think?
I mean, a part of me thought like Boundaries and the last line would sort of link, but I don't know. I could be mistaken.
Yeah. It feels bizarre with Cole thrown in the middle there. That sort of he's the spanner in the works, isn't he?
Like, is that in between like Skyman when he was busy building his army of trying to save the planet while the Master was busy with his vineyard? I don't know.
Or I suppose maybe it could be just after the Skyman, or in between the Good Doctor.
Heavenly Paradigm, isn't it? So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Heavenly Paradigm's the last story, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think I trust Big Finish. They know there's room there to play with, and they certainly got a story to tell us.
It's been how they've been making money for the past 20 years, filling gaps.
Yeah.
So
They might as well fill their own.
Yes, yeah.
They feed on themselves, don't they?
It's a cycle, but we love it. We're here for it.
Yeah. And it's fitting that coming out on the, I think, 15th anniversary of Utopia itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
That this will be a celebration of the War Master throughout the different stories.
So
nothing really too much to say about this. Just excited for it.
Yeah. And just to go, look at that cover.
Yeah, just looking back at it again.
Oh, it makes me excited for the trailer, which we might get next week. Who knows? They've been quite generous with us recently with news.
Yeah, they do. They like to do that as well. When they like drop a news article, then the next week or the week after, they will drop something else related to it, like a trailer. But also, one last thing on the Second Doctor. Do you think now we'll be hearing more about that on the podcast? But after the initial First Doctor Adventures reveal, that's all Nick Briggs would really talk about on the podcast for a little while. Like that would often, you'd look at the chat section in the synopsis and it would say First Doctor, First Doctor, First Doctor.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll now be shifting gear with the podcast and we'll be getting snippets and stuff about the Second Doctor going forward?
I think more about it. I think so. Now it's in the can and it's all out there, and I guess a fair portion of it would be edited, because I guess in the Annihilators only episode 1 was edited, but he was like, I'm going to tease it anyway. So I think because he's wrote an episode, or co-wrote an episode.
Yeah, I think he's script editor on the thing.
So I think he's gonna obviously hype it up, and rightly so.
Yeah, I mean, Troughton's his favourite Doctor, so he very much is getting into that.
I can see it. I mean, I think they probably would have done a bigger feature on it when he was first announced, Michael Troughton. But I guess because it wasn't recorded back then, they couldn't really go, well, here's Michael Troughton as the second Doctor.
Yeah, they wanted to keep hype on the Annihilators back then, didn't they? I guess.
Yeah.
And so like they gave vague hints of, oh, this is what's coming, but now they can more openly talk about that. I suppose. Okay. They might talk about how it's 2 4-parters.
Be interesting.
Sort of drew attention away from self-defense there.
Yeah, it's fine. Self-defense will have its time, I'm sure.
Yeah, I suppose some other covers were revealed as well for the 9th Doctor. As we go back to Earth here, we have the individual story covers for Station to Station, The False Dimitri, and All Lang Syne.
There we go.
I mean, what do you make of them?
I was a little bit shocked by Station to Station, to be honest.
Oh, how so?
In the sense of, I assumed that creature would be for the False Dimitri. It looked like period costume, but no, it's a surprise. Not in a negative way. I was like, oh, okay, they're doing something a little bit different there.
I assumed it would be from the last story, actually, funnily enough.
Oh, did you?
So I thought along similar but different lines to you.
We're both wrong.
There's a line in the trailer about like things coming out the walls or something, and it's certainly during the final story because it's like those characters. And to me, that almost on the main cover, that seemed like something coming out of a wall to me. I don't know if that's just me looking at it a bit funny, but yeah, I sort of got that vibe to it. But no, first story. So this is the strange creature hunting people on stations, I suppose.
I think the only downside is that the first story and the last story, the image of Eccleston just feels very similar.
Yeah, it's very. It's almost like a similar to what we used for the thumbnail for the Russell Davis stream. It could be using that sort of meme, couldn't it?
Yeah. Like, I feel like it's the same body, but just with the different head.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't help that those two colors are quite similar as well.
I mean, I read the Vortex article yesterday when Doctor of War arrived, and I've found my excitement for it because the trailer, Big Finish trailers. How can you, perceive, like, how can you get across the story through audio, through a trailer, through like little snippets? It's difficult. But reading the Vortex article, I was like, all right, I'm quite excited for it now because I really enjoyed Old Friends, and when I finished that, I was ready for Series 2. So I feel like I'm getting back in that mindset of going, right, give me the Eccleston.
Yeah.
I think False Dimitri gives me, is it hunting season? It gives me that sort of vibe.
I got hunting season. It's like the red, and then it's a similar picture of Eccleston as well.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's better.
Yeah, I feel like these covers, I prefer them to the Old Friends individual covers. I think they got a bit more interesting stuff going on with them.
Oh dear.
I think maybe it's also that it doesn't have the horrible border at the bottom as well.
There's an element of like Ravagers in like Old Lang Syne with like the TARDIS sort of roundel hexagon thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I like that the TARDIS is mid materialization or dematerialization on that cover though, because that's something we don't often get on Big Finish covers, if at all.
Does it tempt you to get the vinyl just for
that?
I
that ship has sailed. I'm not letting myself be tempted. How about you?
I've committed to the CD. I did my big order a couple of weeks ago, and that was in my order, the CDs.
You committed to the CD and vinyl last time, so it doesn't necessarily mean a no from you.
It all depends on how. I think it all depends on the box set, really. I think maybe when the series ended, because they haven't gone out of print Series 1 of Eccleston stuff. Yeah,
you've got time to decide, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think depending on the series, I'd be like, okay, if I enjoyed it, I'll pick it up. I nearly got a Dalek Universe. I didn't. Which I was quite proud of myself.
You were able to resist.
I was able to resist, but I'm like, well, there's always time.
Yeah. It makes you wonder how long before some of them do start going out of print. I imagine it'll be Ravagers first before Dalek Universe 1.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big one, isn't it? Because it's just the first Eccleston, big drawing factor.
Yeah. But yeah,
But if
certainly these will all stick around
Yeah.
until after the last box sets out in February next year.
Like if they do a classic tweet going, there's like so many left, then I will probably force my hand
Panic.
and go,
Yeah.
there, take my money. But yeah.
Which story excites you the most at the moment, and which cover is your favourite of these three?
I think Station to Station
On both
excites me.
counts?
In terms of cover, probably on both actually. I think because I get the train quite regularly, I can relate to that story.
Hmm.
You know, because there's nothing worse when you're waiting for a train at night and you're sort of in that sort of weird time, isn't it? Really, where it's kind of dead. There's people around, but it's not as busy as it normally is. So yeah, I think
like stations are a very weird place at night because very much, it's quite bright there. It's all nicely lit up, but there's never really as much around. You like look down the tracks and it'll just fade off into night. And so it does feel like you're on this little isolated thing in the middle of nothing, don't you? This island in the middle of
there is
nothing.
just something quite odd about getting the train at night in darkness.
Yeah, so I'm excited that this story is going to be tapping into that. As for cover though, I think I'll go for False Dimitri. I like the robots on it.
It feels very sort of iRobot. It fits that sort of early 2000 what a robot looked like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is that style, isn't it? But it's got this regal quality about it, those robots. Yeah, coming around about on this set a bit more now. But there is another set it made I'm more hyped for, if I'm honest, and that is Waterworlds, which we now have a trailer for. We've now got our first listen to Ruth Madley as Hebe Harrison. Have you given that a listen?
Yeah, she gives me Lucy Miller vibes. I get a bit of Sheridan Smith off her.
Sort of more deadpan Lucy Miller, I guess.
Yeah.
I think she's quite a dry character, but I like the introduction. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the trailer. Like, I know I knocked the trailers earlier, but I'm excited for this one actually. And I read the Vortex article as well. I think that's probably what helped me get a bit more pumped for it. Because like the first story feels very much like your meat and potatoes. Here's Doctor Who. I think that's probably the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah. I think it's a shame in a way now that with Vortex, they're highlighting the releases of the following month rather than the month it's released in, because that means now that when this article comes out, like I usually read them first thing in the month, like the first or the second whenever they come out. And then by the time we're getting closer to these releases, my hype from those articles has sort of died down a bit.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. But I suppose from a marketing position, it makes sense for those who don't read it online, so that when they get their physical copy with it won't be highlighting the release they've just bought. It'll be for ones coming out the next month. So I could
the same month it arrives, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Depending on the
Depends
release.
which you've ordered. But yeah, it's a good trailer, Waterworlds.
I like how it sort of nodded to like the wheelchair going, was that part of your upgrade or something like that? It was something like that. I was like, oh, okay.
Part machine.
Yeah, they're going full out, and I admire Big Finish for doing that, like that sort of accessibility of it all, really.
Yeah. It's interesting to note, like I mean, you've read the Vortex article as well. They mention they planned her to be a wheelchair using companion before they'd cast Ruth Madley in it. Like it wasn't, we've got Ruth Madley, let's build a character around her. They very much built Hebe and then realised Ruth would be the perfect actress for it. Didn't expect to actually get her, but then were very glad when she signed on with them, which is always nice to hear. So I said they were pushing that accessibility and giving a different kind of companion. to the Doctor.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they sort of pair off, really, because I think that you just think Six and Mel, that was it for the Sixth Doctor then, regeneration. So it's interesting that we've got a little bit more nugget extending the Sixth Doctor's life. I know a lot of people are a bit against going, how long did the Colin Baker Doctor live for? If he's got all
He can live
these.
as long as he wants.
Yeah. I mean, that's just some people going, oh, well, how long does he live for then? You know, he's getting all these new companions.
Yeah. I think especially because he doesn't have a final story on TV as well. Like there is just that gap after his last one until he's lying on the floor and he's Sylvester McCoy in a wig. So I think that gives you a lot more wiggle room to say there was more stories there to be told. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they tie in with the Seventh Doctor, though. How him and Mel have never mentioned the Hebe after the fact. So, speaking of, do you think maybe they'll mention it in the upcoming Seventh Doctor Silver and Ice, which we already have a trailer for, or will they leave it until after they write Hebe out one day?
Maybe we get that because I think it'll be. Yeah. Would it be like Margaret in what is it in Ravenous Free? Companion piece.
Yeah, they are good at planning ahead a lot more, aren't they, with this sort of thing? So maybe it will be mentioned.
Have I gone past it? Is it? I was going to say. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
I swear it wasn't there.
Yeah, it looked like it just disappeared.
Found a glitch on the website.
I think what's his name stole it.
What, Garen?
Yeah, Garen, that's it.
We've got the War Shriven Zal. Within the. What do you think of the trailer actually of this one?
That wasn't too bad. I like the 60s Cyberman voice. I'm not sure about the 80s.
It sort of had that sort of Last of Us Cyberman vibe, but that got away with it because it was not technically Cyberman, because it was like the drones or something like that, wasn't it? But this sort of, it doesn't have like the Wheel in Space voice, is it? It's more sort of tomb.
Yeah, but I'm glad it's not a standard invasion voice.
Yeah.
It has, it does at least have a bit more to it than that.
I'd say this trailer didn't do much for. Like, I feel like the cover excited me more than the trailer.
Yeah, compared to Waterworlds, this is definitely a weaker trailer, more watered down trailer. It's a bit left me a bit frosty.
Oh, he's back at it. He didn't get the puns in the tier list, so he's getting the puns out now.
Yeah, got to slot them in somewhere.
Oh, just like Big Finish with companions and everything.
The Waterworlds trailer gets the gold medal. This gets the silver.
Oh, very good. Very good.
There we go.
He's gone and done it. Yeah. I mean, it seems like an interesting one. I feel like the Ribos stuff. It's got McCoy. It's just nice to hear McCoy again, to be honest. I think that's my main takeaway from the trailer. I guess when we were doing these throwback reviews, it was just nice having McCoy back.
Yeah, it's just exciting. Yeah, he's the main. I mean, Mel, we're hearing a lot of now, so it's. I mean, Bonnie's always great, and I'm sure she'll be fine in this set, but it no longer feels a special hearing her again compared to hearing Sylvester in the role. I mean, like even Cybermen don't feel that special. Like, we've had quite a bit of them this year.
Like last year, especially, was a big year for Cybermen.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're being more used than the Daleks at this point.
Yeah, like what is it? Beyond War Games now is the only set in the relaunch to feature the Daleks.
That's true. Yeah. And the Ice Warriors are getting quite a bit of a renaissance, which is nice.
Yeah. Is that a pun?
Well, I don't know.
Nice.
Unintentional. Oh god, it keeps rolling, just like the subject with his R's.
Yeah, he's in on it now.
He's on it. Yeah, that's Silver and Ice, I guess. Is that the only other bit of news we had?
Yeah, I think that's the end of it now. I mean, we also did have two releases from Torchwood, Torchwood 1 Nightmares and Infidel Places. And Sean Longmore, the artist for Torchwood 1 Nightmares, cover artist, released 2 extra bits of art that he did from the set on Twitter and said he thinks they might be on the physical releases disc art. So there we go. Bit of exciting disc art coming, hopefully.
We have to wait for the CD to eventually drop in the letterbox and have a look.
Yeah, I mean, neither of us have got this one yet, though. So if I get it, I'll go download. So you'll
I
have
am
to
very
report on
tempted.
the physical. Yeah, we were talking about this just before.
Yeah, I'm very tempted by it. I probably will end up caving for it. I might buy a couple of the Torchwood 1 stuff to see how it is.
Yeah, because that's all on sale with that release. So.
But yeah, I guess we can have a closer look at the Big Finish Day schedule. That's another thing we had a look at.
Yeah, should we check the chat first?
Yeah, let's do a bit of a chat, and then we'll have a look at the old Big Finish Day thing. If you're going to Big Finish Day, then we can give you our thoughts on it. Not that we're there, but you know, we'll be there in spirit. Yeah.
Mr. Bonkax says, "What episode did they appear in? This is hurting my brain." He's mentioning Zodin here. What episode were they for? Was it the Five Doctors that the terrible Zodin is first mentioned? I'm pretty sure it's her, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say Five Doctors.
Yeah, and I swear they are mentioned again in a later story. That might be a Seventh Doctor one.
Is Mordred Undead? I felt like Mordred Undead might have made a reference to it.
Well, that'd be before Five Doctors then.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, certainly Terrible Zodin is meant to be like an off-screen classic series villain, really, that is mentioned anecdotally by the Second Doctor while reminiscing with the Brigadier before he realises that the Brigadier didn't actually meet her and is just like, "Oh yes, you weren't concerned with her, were you? That happened in the future, or was it the past?" I think that's the
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I feel like that conversation is a funny one because you're sort of like hearing it at a distance at points. You're more meant to be focusing on the ice cream whirl coming towards them.
Or the triangle.
But yeah, there you go. Mr. Monk Cactus. Terrible Zodin. Doesn't actually. Oh no, it's the Sixth Doctor who mentions her one time. It's definitely after. Maybe that's 2 Doctors.
Maybe.
Yeah, Sixth Doctor definitely is the one who brings up Terrible Zodin again, though.
I think because you listen to so much Big Finish and like Doctor Who and just watching Doctor Who, everything sort of becomes a bit bland.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, your mind becomes a bit like soup and just mush.
Stage 1 says Torch 1 Before the Fall is a great box set, clearly one long 3 hours, but brilliant and filled with loads of humour. So that's your recommendation there.
Thoughts on every Chris Chapman story? I'd say all of them are very good, bar probably the one in the 11 box, I'd say.
Yeah, that's probably his weakest. I was never a big fan of the middle, but I think I do need to revisit that one and I might appreciate it a lot more then.
Do you have a favourite Chris Chapman one?
Oof, probably. I need to have a look. It'll jump out at me as soon as I see it.
Because I really like Warzone, because that's a story what really shouldn't work on audio, but it just works incredibly well. But then I really like the middle. I think that's a really good one.
Oh, Plight of the Pimpernel. That's probably my favourite.
That is a good one.
Yeah, he writes some very strong stories. Hopefully we get more from him soon.
Scorched Earth is a good one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another
good
one. Another Sixth Doctor one set in France, funnily enough.
He's got Colin's voice down to a T, and I think he really wants to write for McCoy, and I definitely want to hear a Chris Chapman McCoy story.
Yeah, he's definitely writing more for Big Finish, but I think he's confirmed that it's not a Doctor Who story that he's written. Like, maybe not even Worlds of Doctor Who. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, hopefully he's also writing a Doctor Who story as well.
What companion do you think will be paired with each Doctor for Big Finish 60th anniversary? It all depends what they're doing for their 60th, to be honest. Is it going to be like a Legacy of Time, Light at the End vibe, or don't know?
Like you hope they give some different combos to what they gave with the 50th. Like we've already had those pairings crossing over, so be interesting to get some different ones. Maybe like a locum doctors type thing. Maybe mix it up and get different doctors with other doctors' companions or something.
Yeah.
I mean, with the end of the beginning, we also had like a different combo there with Fifth Doctor and Turlo and Sixth Doctor and Constance meeting other Doctor and companions. I mean, Eighth Doctor and Charlie was a fairly straightforward choice. Hopefully, maybe Eighth Doctor and Lucy Miller would be good for the 60th because we've had Charlie and Light at the end and End at the beginning now. So I'm down for a different Eighth Doctor and companion combo for that. Maybe Fourth Doctor and Sarah as well.
Yeah, I think that's long overdue, really.
Yeah, because like, we're meant to get that in the Five Doctors itself before Tom dropped out. So.
Yeah, be interesting actually. Yeah, see what they do.
Yeah.
Just be nice to know what they actually are planning for the 60th, to be honest. See what they are doing for it.
Yeah, I think we've got a while to wait on that one. They've like confirmed that a lot of it is already recorded on the podcast.
Like 2 years ago, wasn't it? They started recording it.
It makes you wonder how big this thing's going to be. Or is it just a case of so many actors being involved that you've got to squeeze them in when you can? I mean, Masterful, I think, took quite a long while just based on scheduling and stuff, getting all the different actors in when they could.
I mean, here's the question. Do you think Eccleston's going to be in it since he's pretty much said he's a lone wolf? He doesn't buy into the sort of the cash grab of multi-Doctor stories.
I don't know, because given that it was started recording as well, like 2 years ago, or started planning 2 years ago, it feels like he wouldn't be in it in a big way. Maybe they'd have got him to record a small cameo. But yeah, I feel like given what we know about their planning of it, it almost feels too like late in the day him joining Big Finish for them to work it out. I could be wrong though. It could have like coincided just about. Maybe he'll get like his own nice little celebration alongside the 10th Doctor if he's not involved in the main one.
Yeah, well, Tennant's got another thing partway recorded, which could be the 60th, could be another Dalek Universe affair. We just don't know at this point.
Yeah, I do hope now that we do have the new series license, it does extend out to the 9th and 10th Doctors. I think it would be weird having just the 10th with 1 through 8 and then not having a 9 there. So I think that would be, maybe even have it be the 10 Doctors, who knows? So I imagine we'll have the recast 1 through 3 in a large role. Like we had Tim taking center stage with Legacy of Time, so
the best one.
It's just a case of when is too much, when he overdoing.
Do you have Jonathan Carley in it as well? You know,
especially on audio as well. Like there's only so much before that gets confusing. Yeah, maybe you just don't even have any companion combos. Maybe like team up different Doctors with each other.
Not Out of Time, but it's an actual box set.
Yeah,
really.
Well, maybe, like just have them doing different strands of the story, similar to what Masterful did.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Like they're all together. Because that balanced 8 different incarnations of the Master.
Is that including Anthony?
Yeah, maybe 9 then.
Maybe.
But that's sort of like a bait.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, nevertheless, I think
Delgado's there in spirit, so 10.
Yeah, I think you can get 10 Doctors all together in some form, have different combinations. After that being an excuse to get 10th Doctor with someone who isn't 4, 5, or 6, since they've had theirs already without time.
Who would you want 10?
Yeah. I feel like I'd lean more towards 9.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'd want 9 with someone else. Because it would feel, I think, while you've got that opportunity, it'd be nice to pair up the mix and match with classic and new Doctors. But yeah,
I feel like 6 and 9 would be interesting because they're both quite sassy.
yeah.
But
I
that
think 6
wouldn't
and
be
1
my
would be
answer.
yeah,
6
and 1 might be interesting.
But I'd quite like 9 and 3 because they're kind of like my Doctors in a way.
Oh, that'd be it. Yeah, that'd be a good combo. Especially with the third Doctor being almost more establishment.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very much anti-establishment while also fitting in with it.
But they're both Earth Doctors as well, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we've gone down a very different rabbit hole here with this one.
Yeah. I mean, Out of Time 4, 7th Doctor, Ice Warriors, and 10th Doctor. That's one I'd like.
Yeah, Stylish One does ask about who would we pair up with who. So I suppose sometimes you could have like trios and then one on their own or something, depending. But assuming it was pairs, yeah. So yeah, who else? Who haven't we paired up yet? Like 5 and 2, maybe. Don't
know. That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, who would Tom be interested? Who has Tom not really worked with?
Tom definitely wouldn't be with Peter.
No.
I think that's what makes it quite interesting. But then again, I really like Light at the End, where it's just McGann and Tom. Those two, I'd happily have a series of those two, to be honest. Like, I'd happily have that. I just want those again.
Out. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that it's been done a little bit, but it's not as well known. Yeah, I wouldn't want to necessarily pair up 2 and 3 again. As great as they are together, we've had a little bit of that.
You want them a bit new, don't you, really?
Yeah, keep things fresh. It's always good. We say as we're talking about bringing back 10 Doctors together.
Yeah, but we're all fans at the end of the day. We all have our own little wish lists, you know.
Yeah. I think, yeah. Even it would be right to include Sarah Jane somehow. Even if you're not going to do a companion each, I think she deserves to be in a celebration like that. I think her recasting would coincide with when they were planning it as well. So
yeah, just about, wouldn't it? Because it's 2019 Return was recorded, so
yeah, and they would definitely been obviously preparing that a while before and thinking about recasting Sarah.
Yeah.
Stylish One also asks, will we ever see the Corsair on Big Finish? Neil Gaiman has detailed descriptions of every incarnation.
I feel like that's one it's sort of a no-brainer for them to do. It's like that perfect spin-off, because that comic with the 13th Doctor got, really high praise. People loved it. Meant to be a really good comic by Titan. So it seems like a bit of a no-brainer why they haven't touched the Corsair. Maybe that's that thing, because Jason A. Gallery said that there's something under embargo what they can't speak about. That could have been UFO, or it could be Doctor Who, most likely Doctor Who.
The Corsair's a funny, almost niche New Who thing. Classic Who has its niche, is Terrible Zodin. But the Corsair is maybe the New Who equivalent of the Terrible Zodin.
Yeah, I see that.
To be honest, it was Doctor's Wife came out at a time when I was drifting away from Doctor Who as a show for a little bit. And so I feel like I didn't really pick up on that so much. And so I never really get the hype around Corsair when people talk about them now. Maybe, yeah, Doctor's Wife, that's another story I need to revisit, I suppose.
I mean, if we get the Corsair announcement, then yeah, perfect time to revisit it.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, so should we have a look at Big Finish Day before we wrap up then?
Yes, let's do that. For if anyone's watching and going to Big Finish Day, then this is what you can expect, really. Seems like quite a solid day in terms of panels. The free doc. I know that Michael Troughton's not there, but that seems like quite an exciting one.
Yeah. So I wonder if they'll rename that now to the two.
The
Yeah.
two doctors.
Yeah. The 2.5 doctors.
Oh,
I mean, you got Nick Briggs as the panel.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, you do wonder what they can do for that one now that they've lost a doctor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were thinking maybe that would be the perfect time to announce the Lost Story version of the Three Doctors that they've teased a few times.
I just want to know if we're going to get any big news. Like, I've just got sort of butterflies going. I just want something big to drop and get excited about.
Yeah, it's still been a while since we've had that real big, exciting announcement.
Like, in the space of like a month, we had Eccleston and Dalek Universe. I want to have that sort of roller coaster of feelings going, my God, this is something to be excited about.
You
know.
But yeah, looking at all the other... So yeah, Louise Jameson is first up on the like main panels.
They get like a little hello and welcome thing.
Yeah, welcome.
And
then you've got Paul McGann after that at 11.
Always good to have McGann.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's more just going to be a McGann specific one. I don't think that's going to be any details about what's upcoming or something like that. That's more
I wonder if he's actually recorded like the box sets after Stranded.
Yeah, I'm not too sure yet. Because I think November, like, I think McGann usually records them fairly late. Like, I think Stranded 4 was done back in December, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, December. So yeah, that's
okay.
Only 4 months before. So it wouldn't surprise me if they hadn't got round to it yet. I mean, I'll have a check actually. They might.
I think 8th Doctor and Charlie was December, wasn't it, or something like that?
September.
Oh, September was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was quite late.
Very much a rush if it was 1 month before.
I was going to say I thought it was, but obviously I stand corrected with that.
Oh, no details on 8th Doctor.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I feel like they won't have been recorded yet. Is my gut feeling there. Sound designers next up at 12. Benji Clifford, Howard Carter, Ian Meadows. That's just going to be the podcast with a couple of extra guests, isn't it?
It basically is, isn't it? Yeah. Don't forget any teasers. Is it like a live recording of the podcast? Because I used to do that when I went to the Big Finish days. I used to record the podcast there live.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Because they do it at like is it Gallifrey 1 or like Chicago TARDIS where they have like a panel and it's like a Q&A and it's great. They're great podcasts to look back on, and they're a great time capsule of looking at what Big Finish used to be like. Going, oh, when are you going to get like Matt Smith and Venusa? Is like, it's great looking back, going, we have half of that stuff now.
Yeah, that's always funny, isn't it? When you look back at the excitement people had for these releases. I mean, after that, Companions, John Coleshaw, Daisy Ashford, Sadie Miller all together. So I suppose that could be time to reveal what's been going on with Third Doctor Adventures, perhaps.
Oh, yeah, that's a point.
October, so be around the right time to record that.
I mean, if I was there, I'd be sat in my chair because those are 2 panels I'd want to go to.
I think John Coleshaw can talk for days, and I would be glued to him listening. I think so.
Because I was listening to the Sirens of Audio interview with John Coleshaw, and that was just a sheer joy. I enjoyed that.
So yeah, next up, the Three Doctors one we already mentioned. And after that, producers and directors: Heather Challens, Dominic G. Martin, Samuel Clemens, and Mark Wright. They're like the big hitters of the relaunch, aren't they?
Like yeah, Heather, they are. Yeah,
Dominic and Mark Wright. So yeah, I wonder if that could be some upcoming relaunch news, maybe, or something along those lines.
A few teasers about what's coming up next, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think especially when it's coming from the producers and directors, that's more of a chance that it's going to be hinting at what's coming up. Whereas something like the Companions one, that is more the actors themselves. They're not really qualified to announce things as such.
They've probably been given like the green light to say you can say this, you can announce.
Yeah, if that's the case. Yeah.
So yeah, be exciting.
Yeah, and then finally, writers with John Dorney, Lisa McMullen, Dominic G. Martin again, Ian Meadows. What's he written recently in Meadows?
His name rings a bell, but I can't recall. It feels like he's done like Companion Chronicles.
Yeah, he feels like that kind of a writer. Just having a search now. Further Adventures of Lucy Miller, apparently. I was wondering what.
Which one did he do?
Oh, he's not even a writer
Was
on that.
Was he like producer?
Sound design.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know, is he... 8th of March, he did...
Sound design, I think.
Sound design again. Surely he must have written one some point then. Oh, here we go. He's written one of the Space 1999 episodes.
That's maybe why we don't know.
Yeah, it's like the name rang a bell because we'd always hear it in the credits, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
But yeah. I think that is his only writing credit, or at least recent one. So interesting. Yeah, was he with the sound designers as well? Yeah, he is up there as well. I suppose he's sort of like gets snuck into both because he counts.
There's a nice little list along party to Dorian Gray with video interviews. Yeah. So fancy thing, be cool. It reminded me what they did with Legacy of Time. That they did like a first listen, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I don't think that's for new Dorian Gray.
Didn't they also have an online, like a YouTube stream on that same day? Or was that
based on? It was like celebrating 20 years of where they had like different little things. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because that was where I listened to Lies in Ruins.
Yeah.
I think they had like Sirens of Time was going on throughout the day. You like had part 1 like very first thing, and then part 2 was later on, and then part 4 was what closed off, I think.
But yeah, that's a big finish day, really. Pretty solid day.
Quite exciting guests, certainly for us for Doctor fans.
Yeah, that's what makes me go, damn, I should go.
Yeah, it's the whole gang, isn't it? It's Tim, John, Daisy, and Sadie.
Get a photo of like the new. Yeah, get a photo of like the whole new era, and then get your big finish signed for free. Because I mean, I don't know if that policy still stands. I presume it does.
Yeah, you'd hope so, but
I hope so.
Never can be sure.
Never can be sure, but yeah. I guess that's pretty much just done, really.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to look into the next one, won't we?
Yeah, I'll see what news we get. If there's anything groundbreaking in terms of news, we may jump on and do a little reaction, maybe. I don't know. Depends what news it is. Yeah. If it's something big like Joe Martin or a Doctor being revealed, then yeah, I'm sure we'll hop on and do like a quick little mini one. But
reaction, I suppose.
Yeah, a little reaction to it, and I guess speculation. But again, could be jumping the gun, and it could be Lady Christina Series 3 announcement.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to get too excited. We'll vibe with
the theme.
Yeah, but yeah, still not bought it yet. I just hope it is something big now.
Stylish One says, watch them announce 4th Doctor Adventures Series 14 for 2025 or something.
They did, didn't they? The last big finish day. They announced Series 13.
Yeah, because they had a panel where Christopher Naylor and Eleanor Crooks were discussing it, didn't they?
Yeah, so maybe we get 3rd Doctor news. Maybe that'd be cool. Get news of the recast of Delgado for this 2nd set of 3rd Doctor Adventures this year. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah. So volume 10 technically, since they're keeping volume those 10. Numbers. So this one says, during that stream you mentioned, they actually aired Sirens of Time out of order. They put part 1 before part 2, part 2 before part 1.
I don't think it matters with Sirens of Time.
No, I think that one does similar, same as End of the Beginning, isn't it? Like that was emulating Sirens of Time. So you could, as long as you listen to the 4th part last,
you're fine.
You're all good.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much just done for tonight. Another week, another Big Finish fans in the can. Another stream done.
Yeah, here we go. But nice looking back at Memory Bank and other stories. I think.
Yeah, considering it was a story all about memories, I couldn't remember much about it going into it, so it was nice revisiting it.
Yeah, I think there's been enough time passed between 2016 and now that it does feel almost fresh.
Well, you just think how many stuff you've listened to since then. It doesn't bear thinking about, really.
Yeah, you don't want to really have an
No.
exact number. You just don't want to have an exact price on how much you've spent on Big Finish over the years.
No, I don't want to know how much I spent.
No, really do not.
Thoughts on the stage play range? I've not really dived into them.
No, me neither.
And thoughts on Lucian 8 series? Series 1, I've not properly listened to all of it.
A lot of them I've listened intermittently.
Yeah, I've got Blood of the Daleks. I've got them all now, but I've only listened to Blood of the Daleks, Horror Glam Rock, Phobos, and Human Resources, so I can't properly judge Series 1. Series 2 is alright from memory, quite an underrated one. Maybe the weakest, maybe, I don't know. Might be the weakest. Series 3 is good, I like Series 3. And then Series 4 is just incredible, really.
There you go.
But yeah, I think we shall see you next week. I think next week's First Doctor, is it?
Yeah,
or is it novel adaptation?
I suppose it depends how well we're doing at re-listening to novel adaptations by that point.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's certainly the project at the moment, and it's been a lot of fun. But
yeah,
there's a lot of them to go through, so
yeah. Because I was thinking if we do First Doctor, we've got like a bit of a extra time to do novel adaptations.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
But yeah, those were next two.
Yeah, they'll be coming at some point.
Coming up at some point. I mean, I know 1 week in May we'll have to miss a day. We'll have to miss a Friday.
Oh no!
Oh, breaking the cycle. But we'll have to do it on like a Saturday. Make up for it. But yeah, I know one Friday I can't do because I've got a show. But yeah, that's not my fault.
So you should drop out of the show.
Drop out of the show. I can just do I can do a podcast. I can do a Big Finish fan as well. Like, hey, audience, come and do the stream.
Yeah, live Big Finish fans.
Yeah, why not? Well, it's live anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big Finish Day. We're coming for you. We're going to do a live Big Finish fans.
Yeah. There we have it. Yeah. If you are going to Big Finish Day, have a great time tomorrow.
Totally not jealous of it, but yeah. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, those tickets might still be for sale.
Who knows? I might just buy it in the morning and go, hey, let's go Derby.
Yeah. I mean, you saved your Dalek Universe money, so.
I mean, well, the train fare's a bit cheaper than Dalek Universe, so I'll take it.
Yeah. I think that's the problem for me. I'm a bit further away, so it's more expensive. Plus, I think it's 38 quid for the ticket, which.
I thought the ticket price was a bit expensive, but I guess you get a lot with it, really.
Yeah, you do. I suppose that's like where the cheaper Big Finish you get there comes from, because you spent so much on the entry fee. Yeah,
because I think back in the day it was like a £5 basically for any release, really. It was like, all right, here we go. You can do some damage with that.
You just don't get them on your account, sadly.
I think you can if you be really pedantic. But because there's stories I bought from there and I think, I've got a download, then I realise, I got it from Big Finish Day, so it doesn't count. Like most of the lost stories I've got, all, no downloads. So it makes me less inclined to go back and listen to them, because the app seems to be like my convenient way of listening to them now.
Yeah, for me, like, because I'm running so low on storage space, like a lot of the CDs are underneath other CDs, so it's like a tower of them, and it's hard to get the ones at the bottom out.
You don't want to freaking knock them all over and then type them. Yeah,
not be very
just be crushed in CDs.
Big mess.
Oh, there we go. I guess that's a perfect way to wrap up.
Yeah, happy thoughts.
Happy thoughts be drowned in CDs. Killed them all.
Yeah, I mean, we're drowned in Big Finish technically, just not physically, metaphorically.
Yeah. Thank you, Stylish One, for joining us. Always a pleasure.
Thank you to all the lurkers out there.
We appreciate you, Lucas. Yeah, we'll see you next week for another fine edition of Big Finish Fans. So yeah, thanks for everyone for watching, and yeah, we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
Peace out.